So in this video, you are going to learn everything you ever wanted to know about fonts and probably some things that you didn't want to know as well. We're going to learn about the different types of fonts and how to tell them apart. I'm going to show you how to download them, how to put them in a folder so that you can organize them and come back to them later, and how to install them and easily uninstall them. Hopefully at this point you have your font viewer installed. The font viewer is the way to manage your fonts so that you don't have to keep them installed all of the time. One thing about them and keeping them installed is when you start collecting a ton of them, if you leave them installed on your system all the time, they're going to bog down your system. So what you want to be able to do is quickly and easily find a font that you're looking for to use in your design, install it so that you can use it, and then once you've completed your design, you can go ahead and uninstall it. And your font viewer is going to help you do that. So first thing, we're going to go to dafont.com, which is a great resource for fonts. I will post a link to this in the description so that you can go and check it out yourself. When it comes to fonts, there are the basic fonts. There are serif fonts. And now the serif fonts have the little tails like you are going to see on Times New Roman, which is one of your system's fonts. It's always installed on your computer. So serif fonts have those little tails on the T's, the I's, at the bottom of all capital letters, and a lot of times on the lowercase letters as well. A sans serif font is a font without that serif, so they don't have the tails. So as you can see, they're more of a clean font because they don't have the little decorative pieces. Some people prefer them, some people don't, but it gives you a different look depending on what you're creating. And then of course you have script fonts, which are like cursive writing. And then you have something called a dingbat. And a dingbat isn't a font in that it makes letters. It is actually a graphic file. You would get these by typing letters on your keyboard. They're kind of neat to use in design because they're vector files, and we'll get into vectors later, but basically what that means is that you can blow them up really huge and they don't lose quality. So if you're making like a huge banner or a big poster, sometimes if you're looking for a specific graphic, the dingbat fonts are a good way to get a graphic and blow it up without having it being all pixelated and not look nice. Now, Dafont has all sorts of different types of font. They have the basic fonts, which are your sans serif and your serif fonts, the dingbats and the script, and then they also have, fancy fonts. Some of them are fonts that are used in TV shows or movies that you might see on screen. They're all what we would call a headliner font. It's not something you would want to read a bulk of text in, but it's something that you can use for large pieces of text on a project. So we're going to go back to the basic fonts here and take a look at the serif fonts so that I can show you some of the things that you're looking for when you download a font. Now you'll notice over here above the download buttons there are different classifications of what you can use the font for. So this one you'll see is a personal use only font. Now this font designer may allow you to use it commercially if you purchase the font, but taking it as is off the site, you can only use it for personal projects. Now if you're only making Christmas cards or garage sale signs, that's fine, but if you ever plan on doing your work commercially, you kind of want to stay away from these fonts, because if you download them now and you don't keep them separate from fonts that are commercial use, you're going to have a heck of a time trying to figure out which ones you can and can't use. So where I'm at in my life, I stay away from them completely. I won't download a font that's only personal use. If you absolutely fall in love with a font and you want to use it, I would recommend keeping it in a folder that is marked as personal use only so that you know if you ever get a paying job that it's off limits, you can't use it. Then the other things that you're going to see when you're over here is a demo font. Now this is a font that is available for purchase, and the demo is going to be a partial font file. So letters may be missing in the font. It might not have everything that you need, like bold, italic, things like that. It may be a full file, but what it comes down to is if you really want to use this font completely, you're going to have to buy it. If you want to use it for a commercial project, or if it doesn't have all of its pieces, you're going to need to buy that font. So demo fonts are another one that I just stay away from. Then another thing that you're going to see is public domain fonts. Now, these fonts are basically created from something that's either so old or the font itself is so old that it's now public domain. And what public domain means is that you can use it. You can use it for pretty much anything, because the author of the font is either dead or the author of the original text type is dead. It's available for anybody to use. You cannot resell them, but you can use them in your projects. And then the one that we really like is the 100% free. That means that you can use it for commercial use, you can use it for personal use, whatever you want. So those are good fonts to have, and you can keep them in your commercial folders. And then there's two more that you're going to see. I'm looking to see, yep, here's one on this page, donationware. The other one that you're going to find is shareware. And basically what those ones are is if you're actually going to use this font in a project, you're going to need to make a donation or purchase the font. So again, I stay away from donationware. For you, it's your call, but if you do use it, if you do download it and do not purchase the font or make a donation, you need to keep that in your personal use folder. Don't mix it in with commercial use fonts, because you always want to be able to tell what you can use the font for. So I'm going to download this cool Assassin's Creed font because I'm a gamer and I totally am into Assassin's Creed. I've played them all. So if you click on this here, on the name of the font, you open it up and it's going to give you a little information on the font. So you see that it's from the video game, where you can tell that the font matches the game poster. It's going to show you a sampling of the letters that are in the font. So if you were to type an uppercase B, that's what it would look like. If you were to type a lowercase b, this is what it would look like. And you'll notice that the lowercase letters aren't actually lowercase letters. They're just a smaller version of the uppercase. Some fonts are like that, and it's totally, designer's choice. So, and then this font has some dings included in it. So it doesn't have normal punctuation because it's a game poster font. So it has the tag or the apostrophe because there's an apostrophe to type the game title, and it has the Assassin's Brotherhood symbol instead of question marks, but it does not have periods or anything like that. So if you're using this font to actually type something with punctuation, you're going to have to find a substitution for the punctuation that you'll need. So everything here looks good to me. You can download the font directly from this link right here, or if you click on that to check out what's inside the font file, there is another download link up here right at the top. So I'm going to click that, and hopefully you have your internet browser settings set up to ask you where you want to save a file to. If you don't, you should change that. I'm not an IT person, so I can't tell you how. But this way, when you're downloading font files or graphic files, you know exactly where they go and you don't have to dig them out. So mine always asks no matter what it is it's downloading. So I've chosen to save the file and click OK. And then I always dump these temporary zip files right on my desktop. So it puts it right over here, so I know where to find it. And you don't want to leave them on your desktop. You don't want to install a bunch of things on your desktop. It will drive your IT person absolutely crazy. I know, I'm married to one. So you'll notice my desktop is very empty, and that's to keep your computer running smoothly. So you can dump it here as a temporary, easy to find place. So that's what I did. I'm just going to double click it to open it. And now you'll see this one has a text document in it. Now in these files, it's going to tell you what you can use it for. So if you come across a font that doesn't say whether it's 100% free for personal use or whatever, if you look in the text file that's included in the zip file, it will tell you. So right here it says freeware font, free for personal and professional use. So I know I'm good to use it for no matter what it is I'm designing. So I'm just going to slide that out to the side, and I'm going to open up my font folder. Now, if you did what we did in the previous video, you made a shortcut to your graphics folder on your desktop and put a font folder inside of that. You'll see I don't have that on my desktop because, like I said, I'm married to an IT guy and I'm only allowed to have a few things on my desktop to keep my computer running smoothly. So, but I'm very familiar with how my file system is, so I can easily find my graphics and font folders. I have my font folder separated from my graphics folder because they are both so huge. It's just easier for me to find things if they're in two separate spots. You can do that if you want. It's totally up to you. Now you'll see in my font folder I have several folders set up here, and one is a sans serif and serif, like we talked about earlier, so that if I'm looking for a specific font, type of font, I can find them quickly. And then I have script, handwriting, decorative, and dings. Decorative are for those fonts that I said you can use for, headliner fonts, but aren't for something that you'd really want in the body of text. And then I also have a folder called font families. And basically what a font family is some font designers now will make a font that is a serif or a sans serif font. So you can see what this one looks like here. And then they'll make a script font to go with it. So if you are making a project where you want to use both, these font families are designed to be used together and give you very different looks, but they're still compatible. They still have similarities that make them pair well together. So I keep my font families in their own folder, so again that they're easy to find. So, and then I have this folder here called Unsorted, and if you open it, it's empty. And what that folder is for new fonts I've downloaded. Sometimes I get font packs. I don't know exactly what's in there, so I can download it all, just dump it in this folder and go through and sort them out afterwards so that they all go where they're supposed to be. So I'm just going to take this font that is right here from the zip folder that we opened, and I'm just dragging it right into my font folder. And then I'm just going to close out that zip file and throw it away. So now I have my Assassin's Creed font and it's in my unsorted folder. And if I bring up the preview box, you can see what it looks like here. So eventually I'm going to move that to my serif folder, but I'm just going to leave it right there for now. And that is how you download and save a font onto your computer. Now I'm going to show you how to install it. So if you have downloaded your AMP font viewer, that you're going to find it someplace under your start menu. Mine, I've kind of been using it on and off all day, so it's right here where it's in my quick find, but yours might be under all programs and AMP font viewer. So open that up, and now when you first open it, it defaults to your installed fonts. So the folder that I'm viewing here are all of my system fonts because I don't have any fonts installed currently that aren't system fonts. Those are the fonts that my computer needs to run. If you uninstall one of them accidentally, it really can make your computer display look very, very wonky. So I pretty much leave those alone unless there's a font, I'm looking for a font that I know is one of the system's fonts to use in a project, but I pretty much try to just stay away from them. And I keep my design fonts away from them too, because experience has shown me that losing one of those fonts is a big pain that you just really don't want to deal with. So we're just going to ignore the installed fonts and go to this next tab that says not installed fonts. So when you open it up, it's going to open to your desktop or your My Computer. So you need to tell it where to find that folder that you put the font in. So now yours might be under your C drive, under that graphics folder that you made, and then in the font folder in there. Mine is on my D drive. As I told you in the last video, I keep all of my files on my D drives, and then my font folder. So I'm just going to click on that, and you can see all of the folders that you saw earlier when I had that folder open. So my decorative, dings, serif, sans serif. So I'm going to go to unsorted because I know that is where I put that Assassin's Creed file. And there it is right there. It shows up in that window. And over here, it's showing you a preview of the file. So you can see right from here where it is. Now, I can take this from here and move it. If I right click and go to move font file, I can go ahead and put that in my serif font folder if I want, or whatever folder I would like it to go into. But this is where this comes in really handy, is I can install this font to use it directly from here. So there are two ways to do that, and one is by clicking this install selected font. If I click that and I use it in a project, it's going to stay installed. And I don't really want that to happen. I want to use it, save my project, and then have it uninstall so that it's not clogging up my installed font folder and bogging down my system. So instead of clicking this install selected font, I'm going to go ahead and click install font temporarily. It's asking me if I want to. You click yes. So now what this does is it allows me to use this font for a while. And I'm going to show you how this works just by booting up Photoshop real quick. I'm just going to open up a new document and type a little text. So I'm going to find under my fonts here Assassins, and it is right there. And now I am just going to click test. So I have it there. I've used it on my project, and I'm going to save this. Typically when you're making a file for somebody, you would flatten this so that those fonts are no longer fonts. They become, it's called a rasterized layer, which again we'll get into later, but they don't read as fonts anymore. So once you save that and take care of it, you close it out, close out Photoshop, and then you're going to close out your font viewer because you're done with the project. You're going to go watch TV or do whatever it is you do. So you go ahead and close that. So what happened when your font viewer closed is it uninstalled that font for you. So it's not going to be sitting in your font folder or in your installed font folder. So now if I come to my installed fonts, if I open it up again and look, you can see under the A's where Assassins would be, it is not listed here. So if I wanted to use it again, I would have to use, or I would have to install it again, but it's not sitting there using valuable RAM or CPU space or anything that you need. It's just, it's in your folder, and you don't have to worry about it. So anytime you're using a font and you just plan on using it for a project, you're going to want to just do a temporary install. It will uninstall when you close the AMP font viewer. If it's a font that you know you love, you use it all the time, go ahead and install it permanently and keep it there. But save that for the fonts that are your real go-tos or are on something that you have to keep revisiting. So like I do have a couple of fonts installed that are not systems font. They're the fonts that are in the logo for my salon. I use them all the time, so they can be installed. So, but anything else, go ahead and install it temporarily. And your system will thank you for it. So that is that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments on this. If you need specific help for anything, you can go ahead and message me. We're almost done with the getting started stuff. There's just a couple more things to do, and then we'll be loading up Photoshop and having a good time. So have fun. We'll talk to you soon.